hope you are very good this morning. I'm Veronique and I'm back with the radio voice this morning, and it's going to be talking about the history of transportations. Before every other form of transportation, human traveled on the first. And can you imagine walking from New York City to the Los Angeles? It is impossible. Fortunately, human beings learned to use animals such as donkey, horse, camel for transportations for 4000 BC to 2000 BC. In 35 BC, the well was invented in Iraq, and the first wall was made from wood. Initially, a case-like structure that was used for water transportation, which was built by block Lagos and digging out the burning wood. In 31 BC, the sailboat was evolved by Egyptians while the Roman built roads across Europe. During the Industrial Revolutions, the first highway was developed by John London Macdonald. In the 17th to the 18th century, many more modes of transportation were invented, such as a bicycle, train, motor car, truck, airplane, and tram. In 1906, the first car was developed with an internal combustion engine. Many types of transportation systems, such as train, airplane, and automobile, were based on the internal combustion engine. The three leading automotive companies in the US in the 1920 years were General Motors, Chrysler, and Ford. Furthermore, several style automobiles were produced, such as the two-door small large sports car and luxury car. Presently, the latest models have integrated improved standardizations computer at system platform sharing. The modern railway system use remote control of traffic line and movement of traffic, capable of speed of more than 5,000 ps. The history of airplane. Automobile based on internal combustion engine were first probably created by Jean Legan in France, Lenoir in France in 1860. The first gasoline powered automotive was therefore built by Gottlieb Daimler and Carl Bern in 1885. The modern automotive were first developed in 1890 in Germany and France. In 1881, William Morrison introduced electric powered automotive in the US, which used an improvement over the steam engine. The history of train. Trains are connected vehicles which run on rail. They are powered for steam, electricity, or diesel. The steam engine mostly flew by coal water wheels. The first steam-powered engines to be used in trains was introduced by John Watt, Scottish inventor. The first rail transportation was used to move coal from mine to river. The modern rail system was developed in England in 1820, progressing a steam locomotive. In 1825, established in Darlington, railway opened an underground railway was first built in 1863 in London. In 1818, electricity train added up. The tram were developed. Today, most of the tram locomotives have been replaced by diesel. The faster commercial high-speed rail train, which use magnetic technology that can go up to 4,331 km an hour. A philosophy closer to ultimate custom, a primary transportation focuses produce movement up, down the water value transportation, utilize temporal financial and environmental resources, and important for the item to move along its truly engaged project. Then the history automotive. So automotive based in the internal combustion engine first Probate by Jean Lenoir. Of France in 1816, the first gasoline-powered automotive was developed by Globelin, Daimler, and Carl Benz in 1885. Modern automobiles were first developed in 1890 century in Germany and France, and in 1881 Williams Morrison introduced the electric-powered automobile in the US, which were an improvement over the steam engine. In 1893, the first automobile for sale was made by Charles G. Frank Drewry in Springfield, Massachusetts in the US. And later, the development of gasoline and petrol-based automobile. Henry Ford introduced the Model Ford in 1993, which was successful launch. Mass productions of the Model T, priced in the range of $80-25 to $117 in 1998. In 1923, Alfred Slow became the president of General Motors under the leadership of the company launched and played the heart of the new model during this time. This automobile made transportation faster, more affordable, and more flexible for people. Today, the automotive industry produces more than 70 million vehicles across the world, and a rapid rise in the price of oil vehicle across the world, and the rapid rise in the price of oil and gasoline has led to the development of various green cars, such as hybrid car, battery operated car, hybrid car, and car running in the automotive field. Transportations. Now we're going to talk about transportation's functionality. Following are the two major functionality of transportations: produce movements and produce storage. Produce movement, whether the product is in the form of materials, component assembly, work in the progress of finished good transportation is necessary to move in the next stage of the manufacturing process. The materials railway passengers process, movement process. So following that, link process, let's talk into the process. The material railway passenger corporate, also known as the AMHAC, is a primary provider of a service in the continental US. The state of Alaska also being the Alaska Railroad, which provides intercity passenger and freight source, while the majority of passenger train rail line in metropole area like the One Northwest Corridor train can provide affordable accessible transportation for rural traveling into city for medical care, businesses, employment, and other service. People living in remote area and place, passenger air service. People living in a remote area and place with a very limited ground transportation across like Port of Alaska may rely on airplane to conduct business, deliver goods, transportation, small obtain medical care, and visit friends or family. The federal could provide a substitute through the Essential Air Service program that is designed to support that would otherwise have limited and no commercial passenger and service. Currently, the program supports 60 rural communities in Alaska and 185 community in the continental US. Personal vehicle. Automobiles are the dominant mode of transportation in rural area. Research indicates that only 60% of rural countries have public transportation available. On this, 28% have limited service. As such, rural residents are much more reduced in personal vehicle, car, these trains, and van the routine travel need. And according to the Rural Transit Fact Book, over 90% of passenger trips in the rural area occur in automobile, and over 80% of rural working community alone in private vehicle. Only 4% of rural households report having zero vehicle are available to them. Rural residents are also more likely to continue during the age of 70 compared to the human counterpart. However, for older adults and older who are unable to drive in a rural road, care-dominant community can be difficult to navigate. In addition, ride-share service and commercial taxi may of limited service in a rural community due to the cost burden associated with the service popularity that is geographically dispersed. The discourse that can including large distance between pickup. Locatus and large wait time between passengers, which can increase costs for driving that may also be passed down to user. In addition, some automobile rural residents may use gold car or ATV. Short trip around the community often use sidewalk and bike lane to safety avoid automobile traffic. This method can be particularly useful for younger and older that because they are relatively inexpensive and operate at a shorter distance than the car. Predestined transportations, bike and bike walk are become increasingly popular form of transportation in this size. However, many people living in rural area may not be able to work for school because of the long distance between concern about the safety. Some rural communities are considering strategy to support pre-existing infrastructure to make it easy or safer for some rural community and considering strategy to support predestined infrastructure to make it easy and safe to people to work on a bicycle around the community, to order transportation through reliable bus stations and for reactions. Additionally, bike share program in the rural community can make it more affordable and accessible. But particularly in some Alaska community with limited road across both may be an important source of transportation between populations, country, and service. In other places, ferry may serve as a link between a land and a river community. Public and private ferry service are generally designed to carry both passenger and the automobile. Waterway can also be sufficient source of economic activity of rural community from tourist shipping, fishing, and also harvest operating. Following this is also add that physical closer to the ultimate customer, primary transportations functions it's also acknowledged through it. Following that, the physical closer to the customer, the transportation is temporary financial and environmental resource, and it is important that item be moved only when it's truly enhances project value. The major objective of transportation is to move project from an origin to prescribed destinations while maximize temporary financials and environmental resource costs. Less and damage expense must also be minimized. At the same time, the movement must take place in a manner that meets customer demand regarding developing performance and shipping information available. Project storage. A less common transportation function is temporary storage. Vehicle make rather expensive storage facility. However, if the transit project requires storage but will not be moved again shortly in a few days, the cost of unload and reload the project in the warehouse may extend the profitability. The second method to achieve temporary project storage in device. This occur when an original shipment destination is charged while the delivery is in transit. Additionally, the telephone was used, the direct dimension strategy today satellite community between enterprise aircraft vehicle more efficiently handle the informations. In this case, we have been talking about the history of transportations and add with the following following subject that is functions on transportation's functionality. That's two more talking about two major functionality of transportation, which is produce movements and then produce storage. Now let me go through the next stage of the speech, and this time I'm going to speak about what are the important functions of transport. The economic, social, and political life of modern country depend upon an efficient system of transport. The benefit of transport can be studied in the following category. economic benefit functions. The economic effect of transport facility are follow. Extensive market transport help in the assembly of raw material and distribution of finished goods. It make it possible to move goods from the place of production to the place where they are the big consumed. In the early days, they were only local market due to the absence of safe means of transport. Now, a day trade is not restricted to the boundary of the nations, but has spread throughout the world. Development of the efficient means of transport has knit together all the nations of the world into the one big world market. Even the perishable article like fish, dairy produce next have been transported to distant places of the world. But the food transport facilities such as development new trade and e-commerce would not be possible. Mobility of labor and capability capital. Transport reduces the rigor or immobility of certain factors of productions. Mobility of labor and capital increase with the development of transport. An efficient network of transport service encourages the movement of people from one place to another. Labor can migrate to the place where they can get better jet opportunity, which reduce exploitations of work. They get better jet opportunity, which reduce the expectation of work of development of Australia and US. We know have been possible without immigration from Europe. With the development of transport, the investment of capital is also channelized to new land and other places of the world. The principle of transportation is also focused on the economy of scale. It refers to the characteristic that transportation costs per unit of weight decrease when the size of shipment increase. For example, truckload TL shipment that utilize the entire vehicle capacity costs less per pound and less than truckling load TL transshipment that utilize a portion of vehicle capacity. It also generated through that larger capacity transportation vehicles such as rail or water are less expensive per units or weight than smaller capacity vehicles such as motor or air. Transportation economic of scale exists because fixed expense associated with moving a load can be spread over the load weight. As such, heavy loads allow costs to spread out, thereby decrease cost per unit of weight. The fixed expense include administrative costs of taking the transportation over time that position the vehicle for loading and unloading, invoicing and equipment costs. The costs are considered fixed because they do not vary with the shipment value. Economic of distance. It is referred to the characteristic that transportation costs per unit of or distance decrease as the distance increase. For example, a shipment of 8,000 miles will cost less than two shipments of the same combined weight of 4,000 miles. Transportation economic of distance is also referred to as the temporary precipice rates or change temper with distance. The rotation for distance economic is less than to the for the economic so specifically the relatively fixed expense incurred to the low and in low vehicle must be spread over the variability expense by units of distance. Large distance allow the fixed expense to spread over more. Now, 3. Specificity. Let me talk about the specificity. The specificity and divisions of labor. Transportation help each region and country to make optimum and efficient use of its rational resources. Each region can concentrate on productions of these goods for which its resources are less with the movement of goods and people from one place to another lead to specifications and divisions of labor, which result in a minimum waste of resource and reductions into the cost of production. Economic of large-scale productions. Transportation has helped the development of large-scale industry. It would not have been scale industry, will not have been possible for this industry to produce raw material, gather large number of water and sell to the finished good without the efficiency facility of transportation. Though transport has made people the various economic of large-scale projections, which lead to reduce unit cost of producers and help to the economic. 5. Stability in price. Transport facility, trans and wool functionally good can transport to the place where there is scarcity and price and high from place where there is a surplus and the price are low. Such movement will help in maintain uniform price throughout the country and functions and to equalize the price of goods through the world. 6. Benefit to consumer. Improved means of transport benefit to the consumer in many ways. The consumers can enjoy the benefit or use of many goods which cannot be produced on the place by transportation such goods for another distance place. Further, it's helping reduce the cost of goods of consumer and increase their purchase power. 7. Employment opportunity increase in national income. The various means of transport provide employment to millions of people throughout the world. The economic development of the country depends upon the improvement means of transport. Though transport contributes sustainability to the national income of the 7. 8. Disagreement to monopoly. The scope of total income is extended by the development of means of transport, as commodity can be quickly transported from one place to another. Local producers can charge price at their own will. This discourages monopoly and encourages competitive development of agriculture. 9. Transport has helped in the development of agriculture also. The business of agriculture produce has grown to such large extent only due to the efficient means of transport. It will not have been possible to use modern technique of agriculture, improve quality of needs of fertilizer, but for good transport facility. 10. Industrial development. Transport facility, the industrial development of the country, it helped the power of industry by making available various factors of productions. It will not have been possible to make such rapid industrial development without efficient means of transport. 11. Increase national wealth. Transport help in increasing national wealth of the country by facilitating agriculture, industry, trade, and e-commerce. Social economic functions. Transport has substantially influenced the life of people. The various social advantages of an efficient transport have followed. 1. Discovery of a new land. Transit transport has helped the discovery of a new land and the growth of the citizens and the urban area. Due to the availability of the long-distance ship transport, land has been utilized to the maximize advantage of the people all over the world. Even the wastelands are now being used. It's also increased the value. We generally fixed value of the land substitute on the roads side of the near the railway stations, but that has increased and manifold. In this case, we will discuss. This chapter was really focused on the impacting that's created via the transportations, like principle of transportations, talking about the economic of scales, economic of distance, and also we're talking about the specificity of division of labor, economic of slash scale of productions, the stability in price, the benefit of consumer, employment opportunity, and also discuss about the disagreement between monopolized development of agriculture and industrial development, increase in national wealth, and discover a new land. So in this case, you have a view of the history of transportations and also how transportation can make an advantage to the market of people and make it available for anyone to make the business and also be able to go land to land and be able to establish their activity. In this case, I thank you very much for your listening to our Radio Scope Internationals, and then I will invite you for the new radio voice to the next video on our YouTube channel. Thank you and have a good day.